Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Joel Dexter will face a dilemma on Hollyoaks as the extent of Tommy Ottenkirk's sinister plan is revealed. Joel and wife Leela have been embroiled in a storyline with the mysterious Tommy over the past few weeks, with the latter pretending to be a therapist as he harbored an ulterior motive for getting closer to the pair. It eventually became apparent that Tommy was targeting Joel in particular, with Monday's flashback scenes revealing that the pair had unwittingly become bound after Joel put Tommy's brother, Billy, into a coma during the soap's missing year. Despite Tommy proclaiming Joel as his guardian angel for saving him from his brother's bullying, Joel has been torn over his actions ever since the revelation, with the character yet to tell his wife. Leela, however, had become increasingly skeptical of Tommy in the past few days, and eventually did some overdue research. She was horrified to discover that Tommy wasn't a therapist whatsoever, with the character left wondering as to what he could possibly want. Next week's scenes will see Leela and Joel piece together the various inconsistencies that were present in Tommy's story. Armed with new information, the pair discuss their next steps. Nonetheless, Joel agrees to meet up with Tommy, though he is understandably a touch more cautious in divulging information. As the pair engage in a board game at the family home, Tommy quickly plans something when his rival's back is turned. Best Film and TV Tours for 2025. The married couple confide in Steve that they are nervous regarding the situation, though he states that Tommy may have a crush on Joel. Leela attempts to get their relationship back on track, planning a day with Joel to improve spirits. His mind is torn, however, when he receives an invite from Tommy to go to a convention. With Joel still feeling guilty regarding Billy's hospitalization, will Tommy be successful in driving Joel and Leela apart? Or will he slip up in the near future? Joel Dexter has found himself standing on the edge of a precipice before, but never like this, not when every decision he makes could cost him everything he's fought so hard to protect. This time, it's not just about him or his past, or even his future. It's about a child, a boy he barely knows, and yet feels an inexplicable bond to. It's about Tommy, and the darkness that continues to circle the young boy like a predator waiting to pounce. Ever since Joel discovered the truth about Tommy's parentage, a secret that was never meant to surface, he's been haunted by the implications of what it means for him, for Leela, for Donna Marie, for the fragile sense of stability the village barely clings to. And now, with the situation escalating at a pace no one can control, Joel is caught in a storm that threatens to destroy them all. It all began when Joel stumbled upon a series of troubling entries in the church's charity program notes, records that hinted something was deeply wrong with one of the teens involved in the mentoring scheme. The notes mentioned aggression outbursts, a disturbing detachment from others, and cryptic comments about a troubled home life. When Joel realized the boy in question was Tommy, he felt his heart sink further. When he started piecing together the timelines, his blood ran cold. Joel had always suspected that his past would come back to haunt him, but he never imagined it would be in the form of a boy with his eyes and a fury that felt so familiar. For weeks, Joel wrestled with the possibility that Tommy could be his son, the result of a reckless night from his darkest days, one he had tried to bury along with the pain and shame of who he used to be. The more he tried to distance himself, the more the signs screamed at him, demanding his attention. Tommy's increasingly volatile behavior had teachers worried, his social worker alarmed, and now even Leela had started noticing a dangerous shift in the boy's mood swings. She confided in Joel, not knowing how close he already was to the truth. She asked for his help as a friend, a man of faith, someone who might be able to connect with Tommy in ways no one else could. And so Joel made the choice to get closer to the boy, to try and guide him, help him. But the more time he spent with Tommy, the more he saw himself reflected back, every hurt, every lie, every angry moment, where no one cared enough to ask why. Tommy was building a fortress of silence around himself, and every brick was a scream for help. Joel saw it all because he had lived it all. And then came the confirmation, a DNA test obtained through back channels, without anyone's knowledge, a secret Joel kept buried in the drawer beneath his bed when he stared at night after night. unable to open until he finally did, and saw the truth in black and white. Tommy was his son. That knowledge didn't bring peace, it brought fear. What would it mean for everyone involved? Would Leela hate him for hiding the truth? Would Donna marry Spiral? If she knew the father of her child was someone she'd once loathed, would Tommy ever forgive him for not being there all those years, for letting him fall through the cracks of a broken system? While Joel tried to save everyone else, Joel didn't have answers, only guilt and questions and more guilt. But he didn't have time to dwell because Tommy's behavior was reaching a terrifying peak. Reports of bullying emerged from school, not the kind of name-calling or shoving that gets sorted in detention. This was cruel, calculated, cold. Tommy had cornered another student in the locker room, threatened him with a blade. Joel couldn't believe it at first, but the CCTV was damning, and worse, the blade was one Joel recognized. It had gone missing from his toolkit. A week prior, Joel's blood turned to ice as he realized the weapon was his responsibility, that the danger had come from his own hands, and now the entire village was watching as the police opened an investigation. Leela begged Joel to help, to talk to Tommy, to get through to him, but the boy shut down, refused to speak, refused to look at him. And then something else happened, something Joel hadn't anticipated. Tommy ran away from school, vanished for hours, then overnight. No one knew where he'd gone until a call came in from a rough part of town. Someone matching Tommy's description had been seen breaking into an abandoned building. Joel knew the place. It used to be a shelter where he volunteered years ago, now just a husk of decay and needles and lost dreams. Joel found Tommy there, curled up in a corner, eyes red with fury and fear. And Joel did the only thing he could. He sat beside him, said nothing, and waited until Tommy finally whispered, "Why do I feel like this?" It was a moment Joel would never forget, but it didn't solve anything because the next day Tommy was gone again, this time not alone. CCTV from a local convenience store showed him with a man Joel didn't recognize, a man who seemed older, harder, with a face that screamed trouble. Joel's instincts kicked in. He reached out to Warren, begged him to use his contacts, find out who the man was, but Warren was cagey, said some things were better left unknown, that Joel needed to let this one go. But Joel couldn't, not when his son was in danger. Then came the phone call that changed everything, a ransom demand, not for money but silence. If Joel told anyone what he knew about the man with Tommy, if he brought in the police, if he opened his mouth at all, something would happen, something final. Joel didn't understand it until he received the package. Inside was a phone, and on the phone a video. Tommy tied to a chair, gagged, eyes wide with panic, and in the background the man's voice, "You want him back? Stay quiet, stay away, do nothing." Joel broke then, shattered inside, but he couldn't tell Leela, couldn't tell Donna Marie, couldn't tell anyone, not without risking Tommy's life. He tried to reason with the man on the phone, offered himself in exchange, but the man only laughed, said Joel had no value, no leverage, no power, said Tommy was paying the price for something that happened years ago, a vendetta Joel had forgotten, but someone else hadn't, and now the past was collecting its debt. Desperate, Joel went to Sienna, told her everything, begged her for help, and to his surprise, she agreed, but not for free. Sienna always had her price, and this time it was access to confidential church records for a scheme she was working on, something murky, something political. Joel hesitated, but agreed, and Sienna delivered. She found the man's name, Rico, a former associate of a gang Joel had helped dismantle during his undercover work years back. Rico had lost everything when Joel flipped on the operation, and now he wanted blood. Knowing Rico's name was one thing, finding him was another. Joel turned to Mercedes, begged her for help, and for once she didn't ask questions, she just made calls. And within a day, she had a location, an abandoned club outside the village. Joel went there alone, heart in his throat, knowing it could be a trap, and it was. Rico wasn't alone, and Joel barely made it out alive. But he found something there, Tommy's school bag, hidden beneath a pile of broken crates, and inside it a note written in Tommy's handwriting, "Don't come for me, he'll kill you." The message hit Joel harder than any punch ever could. His son was trying to protect him even in captivity, and now Joel had to make a choice: keep playing Rico's game, or risk everything to save Tommy. Joel chose the latter. He went to Steve, asked for help getting surveillance gear, asked James to pull strings with the police quietly without raising alarms. They were hesitant but eventually agreed, and within days they had eyes on the club again, only this time Rico was gone, vanished with Tommy, and no trace left behind. Days turned to a week, and the silence was unbearable. Joel was breaking, Leela was spiraling, and Donna Marie was close to relapse. Then came the twist. Tommy turned up in the village alone, bruised, battered, silent. He wouldn't speak, not to anyone, just clutched a blood-stained hoodie and stared at the floor. The police were called, but Tommy refused to name names, refused to explain where he'd been or what had happened. All he said was, "I made it stop." And Joel knew then that something terrible had gone down, something final and irreversible. As the village reeled and whispers started flying, Joel made a quiet decision. He went to the chapel, locked the doors, and fell to his knees and prayed, not for forgiveness, not for redemption, but for strength, because he knew the real battle was just beginning. Tommy wasn't just broken, he was different. Something inside him had changed, and Joel feared it was something he couldn't fix, something inherited, something born of blood and violence and secrets. And now Joel must decide, does he come clean about everything? Does he tell the village the truth about Tommy's parentage, about Rico, about his own part in the chaos? Or does he keep the silence, protect his son at all costs, and risk letting the darkness fester inside Tommy? Unchecked, as the sun sets over Hollyoaks Village, Joel stands alone at the church doors, watching his son from afar, and wondering if love is enough to save them both. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our Hollyoaks Update YouTube channel for more update news.